Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Oh yeah, we've been talking about this. Okay, first of all, every time I see these things, look at the background. 1,000-gram bars of gold. Look how beautiful they look. But anyways, we've been talking about this now for quite some time. And that is Putin going to put us on the gold standard? It's possible. But first he has to start with putting his rubles on the gold standard. And him and China have been talking about going to the gold standard. Did they do it? Are they getting ready to do it? You'll see here in just a moment. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And right now, and I mean right now, if ever before, there was a time to buy gold and silver, now is the time. And when you go to buy your gold and silver, go to our friends over at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you are a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you get a free half ounce of silver. In case you're not paying attention to what's going on in the gold or silver market, there is another silver squeeze going on. They're just not really talking about it. Well, I shouldn't say they're not talking about it. Experts are talking about it. But you're not seeing mainstream media cover it like they did last time. So, with Putin in Russia and talks about going into the gold standard, it's affecting the metals market. I was looking at this article. It says, how Putin tried and failed to protect the ruble from sanctions. The ruble has plunged after an unprecedented sanctions took aim at Russia's central bank. Now, this is March the 3rd. Was Putin successful in protecting the ruble? Oh, yeah. Remember, before the sanctions started, it was 0.013. That's the U.S. exchange for the rubles. So in order for you to get 1 ruble, you would have to pay just a little over 1 cent. After the sanctions, you can see here is 0.0076. Yeah, well, obviously the ruble had devalued because of sanctions. So in order for you to buy 1 ruble, it would cost you 0.0076. So less than a penny. Less than a penny. It didn't take very long for the ruble to not only recover, but it's actually getting ready to take off. So my thought was, hey, if it's 0.013 and after it had been devalued because of sanctions, it would take a ton of money in order for you to really profit off of it returning to the same value. I believe it was every $10,000 you'd make like $100. And it didn't seem worth it until now. Seeking Alpha has this article. Shout out to Mikey for this one. Russia's 3-step program to put the ruble on a gold standard. So this is what Ralphie believed needed to be done. Step 1, offer a premium fixed price for gold to domestic Russian banks who can't sell their gold internationally due to sanctions, encouraging domestic gold flows into the Russian bank. Strengthen the ruble internationally by insisting on energy payments in rubles, turning fixed price into a premium internationally, as well as encouraging international gold flows into Russia. Turn the ruble into a credit gold substitute at a fixed rate. The 5,000 ruble window closes on June 30th. Does Russia declare the ruble convertible to gold after that? At what rate? Rather than speculate on the ruble, just buy the gold. This is Ralphie's YouTube channel. That article he wrote, he actually covers it here in the video. Let's listen to a little bit of it. This is Putin announcing that, yes, indeed, they are now on the gold standard.
Резервов Банка России подводит черту под надежностью так называемых первоклассных активов. И видя это, многие страны уже в ближайшее время могут начать, уверен, так и будет происходить, конвертировать свои бумажные и цифровые накопления в настоящие резервы в виде сырьевых товаров, земли, продовольствия, золота, других реальных активов.
No, but did you see what he said? See, all these countries know about the central bank digital currency.
Активов. И видя это, многие
And many countries in the immediate future
страны уже в ближайшее время могут начать, уверен, так и будет происходить.
may begin, I'm sure this is what will happen,
Конвертировать
to convert their paper and digital assets into real assets, getting away from the central bank digital currency. In other words, free us from that enslavement, unless every country outlaws gold.
свои бумажные и цифровые накопления в настоящие резервы в виде сырьевых товаров, земли, продовольствия, золота, других реальных активов.
Hey guys, Rafi here from the Endgame Investor, and today we're going to discuss whether Vladimir Putin has what it takes to put the ruble back on a gold standard. Why is Russia insisting on payments in rubles for countries that are unfriendly to his regime? And why nobody in the West or the Western financial system has any idea what is going on because they look at everything ass backwards. This news came out on March 28th, March 25th, a little bit before, reported here on Kitco on March 28th. It says, Russia sets fixed gold price as it restarts official bullion purchases. Russia's central bank has resumed its gold purchases from local banks on Monday, but it set a fixed price on the precious metal. Starting this week, the Russian central bank will pay a fixed price of 5,000 rubles, about $52 per gram, between March 28th and June 30th, the bank said on Friday. This is below the current market value of around 68.
Yes, Russia is going to sell their gold slightly below market price. And people are out there going, why would they do that? Oh, it's very slick what they're doing. Ralphie will explain.
$8. You could ask, and rightly, how does that make any damn sense? Why would the Bank of Russia offering gold at a heavy discount to the international price have anything to do with a gold standard? And why would any bank, any Russian member bank of the Bank of Russia, buy gold at a heavy discount when it could just sell it internationally for much higher? The answer is it can't sell gold internationally. And the Bank of Russia is actually offering its member banks a very nice premium for any gold they have to be put into the Bank of Russia as part of its reserves. Here's what I mean. Here is a graph of the price differential between Brent crude and Urals crude. Brent crude is British, Urals crude is Russian crude. They're basically the same thing. Sure, there are slight differences, which is why there's always a price differential between them, but they're basically the same commodity. Now, if you look at this huge drop, that means the price differential between Brent and Urals is now about $31, meaning you can get Russian crude at a $31 discount to British crude or Brent crude or even USO or West Texas Intermediate, whatever they call it. Why? Because Russia is sanctioned and its markets are cut off. So any oil that gets through at a heavy discount. Now, the same thing is true of gold. Here we have an article from Bloomberg, March 7th. Russian gold is hit with de facto ban from key London market. LBMA suspends all Russian refineries from good delivery list. Body joins list of institutions pulling back from Russia. What is the effect on the price of a good from a certain place when that good is banned from international markets? The price of that good in that place.
Okay, real quick before Ralphie continues. You see, we've been noticing that the Biden administration has been kissing the butt of OPEC. OPEC's taking advantage of what's going on and jacking up oil prices and reducing production. Do you blame them? No, you don't. But if Iraq really wants to increase the value of the dinar, they would follow in the footsteps of Russia and do the same dang thing. Insist that everybody buy the oil in Iraqi dinars, and that's why you see the Russian ruble go back up to where it at least is at the moment. It's going to become way more valuable, so this might be a good time to buy the Russian ruble, because now they've backed the Russian ruble with gold. and its value is going to go up. There's going to be a huge demand for the ruble. Yes, I know. I got you. I know what you're saying. You can't buy the Russian ruble right now. I already tried. Yes, I know. I looked around, but I did the research for you. Oh, yeah. I'll show you here in a moment. But the Iraqi dinar, most of us already have. The hopes are that people wise up to what's going on. If Iraq was smart, given their situation, if they really wanted to increase the exchange rate on the Iraqi dinar, they would do the same dang thing that Russia is, considering right now everybody's turning to OPEC as the alternative. Yeah, make the same kind of offer that Russia is, because if you don't match them, people are going to turn away from OPEC and start going to Russia until they can't anymore. So that's going to affect the price of oil on the OPEC market. If people say, look, I can get a better deal and get it discounted by going to find a way to get oil from Russia despite the sanctions, and they're willing to pay for the Russian oil in the ruble, which means the demand for ruble is about to skyrocket. So investing in a ruble right now might be a great investment. It's backed by gold, and there's a reason why they're doing this with the discount. They're saying to people, hey, you want our oil? Yeah, you can buy it on a discount. You want our gold? You can get it on a discount. It's going to force everybody else to follow in their footsteps. And hopefully, OPEC wakes up and they do the same thing. This would help with strengthening the Iraqi dinar.
Goes way down, meaning Russian gold is available at a heavy discount because it's harder to get out of the country because of sanctions. And if you get caught buying it, you can get sanctioned. So there's heavy risk that has to be compensated for. Therefore, Russian gold is much cheaper than international gold anywhere else in the world. So a 5,000 ruble per gram.
Oh, there's going to be countries that don't care. They'll take the risk. If a ton of countries start taking a risk, and then the United States tries sanctioning all of them, it's going to look like the United States is being a bully like they always are. It's just going to backfire on the United States big time. And we're going to end up being isolated, and it's going to affect our markets everywhere. That's why the purchasing power of the dollar and the dollar in general is dead. It's dead unless they, as well, back up their currency and move into the gold standard.
Fixed price is splitting the difference for the Bank of Russia. It is giving a good deal for the Russian banks and a good deal for the Bank of Russia, which gets to back its ruble at a heavy discount while giving profits to its member banks. Now, why doesn't the West understand this? Because it doesn't understand that gold is money, and dollars and euros and pounds are all gold substitutes, and therefore money substitutes. They think that gold has to be moved out of a country in order for it to be used to buy things, but that's not true. Take this article, for instance, from the Wall Street Journal. What sanctions mean for Russia's $140 billion in gold? You see, even immediately from that title, you see that the West and its financial outlets, financial news outlets, are counting gold in terms of dollars instead of counting dollars in terms of gold. $140 billion in gold, it could be worth a lot, much more than $140 billion as the dollar falls and gold stays stable. Subtitle: Sanctions could make it more difficult, but not impossible, for Russia to sell some precious metal to raise money while invasion of Ukraine continues. That subtitle makes it even worse, because gold is money. You don't have to raise money when you have money. You don't have to sell the gold itself. You can do something else. You see, a long time ago, banks invented this thing called paper. It was a receipt for gold. So instead of having to move gold, you could just move paper. Here's an example. This is a 200 shekel bill with some grumpy looking guy on it. It's paper. It's like the new blockchain.
Oh my God. That was funny. In other words, that's him taking a swipe at cryptocurrencies because cryptos aren't anything. They're just like the digital version of the fiat dollar. Now, I know I'll get people go, yeah, well, there's better than gold or silver. Yeah, we get that. But for how long? A lot of the cryptocurrencies you're investing in are contributing to the central bank digital currency, which has an expiration date on it and is programmable. Congratulations to your contribution to the New World Order. But I got to watch this joke one more time because Ralphie is funny.
An example. This is a 200 shekel bill with some grumpy looking guy on it. It's paper. It's like the new blockchain. What you can do is move the paper instead of moving the gold. So what you could do is say that rubles are now exchangeable for gold at a certain price, and then just buy things with rubles. There comes a point when 5,000 rubles per gram of gold becomes a bargain even for international markets. That is when the ruble strengthens on the fact that gold is being shuttled from Russian banks to the Russian central bank, which is in charge of the ruble as its liability. That strengthens the ruble as the Bank of Russia accumulates more gold to back its money supply.
So that's what we're looking for. At the time the ruble was devalued, I said, look, that's a currency you might consider. Every time we see a sanction put on a country in which your country's currency is devalued, you might consider investing into it. Now, I said at the time it didn't seem like it would be worth it because even if it went from the lowest part that it was at the time to back to where it was, it would take a ton of money to really, really make a profit. But this changes everything. The ruble has already regained its lost value. Once it starts being used on the international market, and it will, other countries are not going to be able to avoid such a great deal. You're going to be able to buy both gold and oil at a discount. That's why they put a deadline on it of June the 6th. Because by then, the ruble should be way more valuable, and the demand for the Russian oil at a discount will be much, much more higher. And that will allow them to then turn around and increase the value of gold again. Internationally, they're not going to be able to avoid this. And the UN and the United States is not going to be able to continue punishing Russia any longer. Essentially, they are forcing us into the gold standard and hopefully saving us from the central bank digital currency. So in this article, Ralphie's writing about what he just explained in the video. I will leave the link so you can come back here and read it. So you don't have to just hear it. You'll probably have a better understanding once you read the article. This is the other article that Ralphie is referring to in the video. I'll leave the link for this as well so you can come over here and check it out yourself. But wait, we're not done. Oh no. You see, there's a problem. There's a gold and silver squeeze happening at the same time. What? That's right. SF Live, I will leave the link to this video so you can hear it yourself. Listen to what they have to say about gold and silver at the current moment.
We got to talk about gold.
Yeah.
And lots been happening since we last spoke. You've been on the program a couple times. We've had you on at SF Online. Gold is up today, 1935 last checked.
Yeah.
You put out a couple interesting newsletters with two interesting topics. One was there's a bit of a gold squeeze going on. And the other one is buy the dip in gold.
Yeah.
Let's start with the gold squeeze.
Yeah.
Really curious like what that actually means. And we've seen the silver squeeze last year.
Yeah.
On the physical side. Are we seeing something like that on the gold side now?
We're seeing the beginnings of it. It still isn't to the big story is actually another silver squeeze going on right now in physical. If somebody wants to go buy.
You heard what he said. Not only is there a beginning of a gold squeeze, but another silver squeeze is happening as well. Now, I want you to keep that in mind and also think about the fact that Russia has now gone to the gold standard. People are going to be going crazy trying to find gold, trying to find silver.
buy physical silver right now, they're paying tremendous premiums. And, you know, it doesn't do anybody any good now, but the best advice I can give is to have bought silver last year.
Well, no, I mean, I've been saying it now since the end of 2017, and the beginning of 2018, preaching to the clouds about buying gold and silver.
Kind of a thing before what we're seeing now happens. It goes for gold right now because we're starting to see premiums rise. It's not quite to the extent as it is in silver, because in silver the cost of manufacturing a coin or a bar is a much greater percentage of the value of that bullion. Not quite so much in gold, but premiums are rising in gold, and that window is kind of closing if you want to get physical product. It's getting harder to get, and you don't quite have the selection that you had. So kind of an advance warning in gold that you really
what is driving that demand now, and where is that, or supply demand?
Retail.
Obviously we got to look at that. So
yeah,
it's retail.
It's the retail demand, which is rising because of the war in Ukraine, etc., because of inflation, because of what was an uptrend in gold and silver before we saw the situation develop in Ukraine. That is kind of running head-to-head against the mint's inability to actually produce product. So we see this happen over and over in the retail bullion market, is that government mints, surprise, surprise, aren't good business people. Imagine the government's not being good business people. So they really can't keep up with the ebbs and flows of demand. It is a production process, so it's hard for them to, they don't like to carry inventory and things like that. So every now and then we get these surges of retail and demand that essentially just wipe out all the available physical supply. Yeah. So, and the people that are buying tend to hold on to it, so that's selling back into the market.
That's why you buy gold. You don't usually buy physical to trade it. Well, rarely, at least as retail investors.
Yeah, people who are buying physical metals are essentially true believers, and they're strong hands, and they're buying it for the long term.
Yeah, they usually bury it in the backyard and forget about it.
Right.
So
yeah.
That makes sense. Gold squeeze, silver squeeze. Like, I don't hear much about it in the mainstream media anyway, but even on Twitter, I haven't seen much about gold squeeze or even a silver squeeze that is going on. You want to elaborate on that a little bit? Why aren't we seeing it?
Well, a lot of the people who are on financial Twitter and the like are playing the leveraged plays. They're in the ETFs and ETPs as in leveraging those investments, because they're liquid, et cetera. They're traders. The people who are buying the physical metals, by and large, they're not so much on Twitter. They're the people who are believing that the currency is going to be debased, has to be debased. All currencies have to be debased. They believe in gold and silver as money and not trading vehicles. So they are the ones that are buying the physical metals, and they're not really so much out there on social media making commentary and snarky remarks.
But even on Reddit, like Wall Street Silver is here at the event as well, like Jim Lewis. So he's benefited massively, of course, from that. But why don't we see a Wall Street Gold now?
Well, don't give him any ideas. Quiet. I mean, I'm going to go get that, claim that.
There you go.
When we get off of here. I don't know. Silver, well,
Look, let's be honest. The average Joe or Joan can't really afford gold. Silver is known as the poor man's gold. So it makes sense. You can appeal to a wider audience when it comes to silver. Most people believe gold is out of their reach, which is not true. You see, over here at Money Metals, you could buy what's called fractional gold. These are smaller pieces of gold that a lot of people can't afford. Look at this. You could buy a 1 gram gold bar for $82. You could buy a half gram of gold for $45. Now, most people can't afford the $2,000 for an ounce of gold. And gold and silver, as much as it's manipulated here in the United States, it's not going to be held down much longer. It's going to be too hard to. With Russia doing what they're doing, and I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb just a little bit and predict that you're going to see other oil nations realize the power that they have in the oil and do the same thing, because it really then enriches their company. It allows them to accumulate more gold and strengthen their local currencies, which is exactly what we need Iraq to do. So again, you have these 1 gram bars for $84, 2.5 grams for $187. These are more reasonable prices for people, and most people don't even realize you could buy fractional pieces of gold. I encourage you to come on over here to Money Metals. See this drop down menu, click gold. See the bars, click the bars, or you can even do rounds. If you click the bars or the rounds, you can see they have them in the same size. There's no difference. It just depends on your preference when it comes to bars or rounds. The 1 gram round is gone, so some people are hip to it though. But there still is a 1/10 of a gold round for $238. Now, the problem with anybody that clicks knows this. Fractionals, though, you are paying high premiums. And people will make the argument that, look, you shouldn't buy fractionals because if you think about the weight divided into ounces, you're paying really too much money for the rounds. And that's true. But, and there's a but, for those who can't afford the ounces, this is the best move. And it allows you to purchase gold because gold is going to go up. So if you can't afford the ounce, the premiums would be worth it. And right now, premiums on gold aren't that high at the moment, not like silver. So even so, if you can't afford a full ounce, go ahead and go for the fractional. Now, if you can afford the full 1 ounce, may I make a suggestion? If you go up here where the gold tab is, see the gold buffalo coins? Click it. Oh yeah, these coins are magnificent. Very desirable amongst collectors. And what does that mean? That means not only do you get the value from gold, but also it has collectability to collectors. So when you get these, you want to put them away and don't touch them. Keep them in pristine condition, because not only will they go up in value as gold goes up, but also it'll go up in value in collectability. So I will leave the link for this video for SF Live, so you can come back and hear more of the details. But you hear what they're saying. There's a shortage on both gold and silver. And there's the beginning of a gold squeeze happening now. Get it before the premiums really take off like we're seeing in silver. And there's a shortage on silver. That's why when you go to order from Money Metals, there's a slight delay. Now, with Russia doing what they're doing, it's really going to cause a rush of people purchasing gold and silver. So the price of gold and silver is going to take off. Now, people are saying, Pimpy, man, we can't even buy Russian rubles because it's going to be backed by gold. Isn't the value going to go up? Oh, yeah, it's going to go up, all right. There's no doubt about it. But yes, you can. Russian ruble account in the United States. Hold, manage, and spend money on your debit card in Russian rubles in over 45 different currencies and send money using the real exchange rate. Now, it might be under sanctions at the moment, but you can open up an account in Russian rubles. That's right, convert your US dollars, buy rubles, and just hold it on your account and wait for it to go up in value. So as the Russian ruble goes up in value and the US dollar goes down in value, when you go to convert it into US dollars, you'll get a ton more US dollars. So basically what you're doing with this account is just letting it sit there. So if the Russian ruble has already regained most of its lost value to sanctions, pretty soon you're going to see this go from 0.012 to over here to like 1.5, 2.5. In other words, for every 1 Russian ruble, you can get like 1 US dollar, 2 US dollars. Remember when the Iraqi dinar used to be able to exchange it, 1 Iraqi dinar, for $3.22 of US dollars before the devaluation. So right now you're seeing a Russian ruble on a discount. And since you can't actually buy the ruble at the moment, you can open up an account in Russian rubles and just hold it. I'll leave the link for this. So there's a couple of things to consider. We're lucky enough right now to be catching this at the beginning stages. It just now was announced. Putin is just now moving into the gold standard. That means you could buy the rubles really cheap before they go up in value. You could buy gold and silver really cheap now before they take off in value. The other thing to keep an eye on is how the international community is going to respond to this. Is the temptation to buy the Russian oil and gold at a discount too tempting for nations to continue to honor the sanctions? Or are they going to be able to team up and prevent this from happening? And what I mean by that is you got to understand that the Great Reset does not want this. They want to force everybody into the central bank digital currency, which means they're willing to do anything to make sure that happens. If they have to go into Russia and remove Putin, they will. Another thing to consider is how serious is Putin on doing this gold standard? I know he's already made the announcement and it's already happening, but he was one of the attendees at the Global Youth Movement, which is part of the World Economic Forum. Is this another one of these stupid plots that they put out in front of us to trick us into believing one thing when they're actually pushing us into another? Who knows? We know that Russia and China are currently talking about doing this together. So right now is a great time to be invested into gold and silver. Anyways, that's it for now. Look, we are going to the gold standard. We're going to find out how successful Putin is. He did put a June deadline. Let's see how far along we move between now and June. It's not that far away. Hopefully, Putin is successful and we start seeing other oil nations do the same thing. This, I believe, would definitely be a currency reset as well as putting everybody on a more level playing field. Let me know what you guys think. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. I'll catch you later. I'm out.